is different. Like basically, we disconnected, and I was disconnected from this. The Georgia chemical fires. Okay, this happened in Conyers. Conyers is not too far from the metropolitan Atlanta area, as well as my area. I'm gonna be honest. You got to look at Atlanta like okay, just look at a circle, put a circle in the middle, and that's the heart of Atlanta. So you have different parts of Atlanta that surrounds this: East Atlanta, South Atlanta, up there with Marietta, and kind of down here where you could get into um, what part of Atlanta is that? I forgot what part of. I'm looking right at it. But once you come out of there, it's just like other cities, other towns that is adjacent to it. And Conyers is like out here, probably like 30 or 40 minutes from Atlanta. Okay, so I just want you guys to get an idea of the geographical area because when you think of Georgia, you think of only Atlanta. So I'm just giving you what it is, and that's where it's like a highway that go into a circle and a bunch of other highways that will take you out of that area. Does that make sense? So Conyers is on this side. Conyers and where I'm at is kind of like down 30 minutes from Conyers. Conyers here. I'm here. Metro Atlanta here. Does that make sense? So that's why I was a little disconnected. But at the end of the day, we're starting to hear about some updates about people actually having reactions from the alleged just chlorine. So, Georgia chemical fires, why do I smell chlorine?
This afternoon's top story with the latest on the biolab chemical fire in Rockdale County. In Gwinnett County, a lot of people woke up smelling chlorine too. Thick smoke enveloped a lot of that region for a good part of the day over the weekend. Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo has been tracking the haze in Lawrenceville tonight. Rob, our viewer tip line flooded with calls, and so was 911.
That's right, Tom. Good afternoon to you. Well, this place has been pretty busy throughout the day. We're hearing from Gwinnett County officials that they've been monitoring air throughout the region after they woke up this morning. And a lot of people woke up throughout Metro Atlanta and saw that haze and had that chlorine smell in their nose.
Which is very scary, especially like with the hurricane coming through and now this.
A cloud of smoke overtook much of Metro Atlanta Monday morning after the chemical plant blaze in Rockdale County that spewed chlorine and hydrochloric acid.
When you go to a pool, it smells.
And my silly self trying to go out there and have an event, not me, but I was having an event out there. I told you guys, and I was surprised it was canceled. I'm like, what's going on? Guys, I'm saying that to say sometimes we just be so wrapped in our everyday lives that we don't pay attention to what's going on outside, and it could become a health hazard. You know what I'm saying? So just be aware. Don't do what GraceLevi did. Like, oh, I'm in my own world. All of a sudden, it was an explosion outside. I'm in my own world. We have to pay attention because we could be get right involved in this. Does that make sense? Especially when it comes to chemicals and things like that.
Smells like chlorine, like it just is pure chlorine though. Like when you're going underwater and you come up and it's like your nose hurts.
It seemed to hit the eastern portions of the metro the worst. Check out the haze looming over one neighborhood in Loganville. In Decula, you can barely see a mile up the interstate. Over on Gwinnett County's Briscoe Airfield, the clouds seem to drop out of the sky and onto the taxiway.
We do have a hazardous material team who went out and did their own monitoring throughout the county and found no areas of concern.
And that's why Gwinnett officials did not issue their own shelter in place. Their 911 center took 179 calls from residents related to the air quality.
So we're going to stop right there, and we're going to go into what they talk about the air quality. So I explained to you how it looks. So Marietta and Gwinnett is like up here, and Conyers is like right here. Does that make sense? And the Metro Atlanta is right in the center. So that's how many people, all of us, could pretty much be affected. Not me, because I stay my ass in the house. Let me show you. Like, because I'm always home. All right. So this is Health Center Director explains possible symptoms from Conyers chemical plum. Next steps. Okay, so this was 2 weeks ago, but then we're just going to get to one more video that I found that was interesting, where people are saying that they have been allegedly coughing up blood. Okay, and one person dog got sick. Okay, let's get to it.
I'm Dr. Lynn Paxton. I'm the interim director for the Gwinnett Newton Rockdale Health District. I'm sorry, I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Dr. Paxton. I am the interim health director for the Gwinnett, Newton, and Rockdale Health Center. And what I am going to do today is, and please excuse my referring down to my notes, but it's important. We have been receiving a number of inquiries from the public about the current incidents and medical effects. So I'm going to attempt to respond to the most important ones and to give you directions as to how you can obtain further information. Now, as we know, as to our knowledge, the chemicals released from this fire are chlorines, chloramine, and chlorine compounds. And these sorts of compounds can irritate the skin and the mucous membranes, including the eyes, the nasal passages, and the respiratory system. So people who already have pre-existing conditions affecting these parts of the body may be more likely to develop symptoms from this exposure. The recommendations that we have for everyone are to include limiting exposure to these compounds by staying indoors with closed windows and doors if you're in that area where you are seeing this haze. You should turn off any HVAC system that can pull in outdoor air. However, if you have an HVAC system that just recirculates the air that you already have indoors, it is okay to leave that on, as long as.
Well, I thought I was safe out here talking about I've been in the house and look what happened. They like, well, if you have the HVAC system that pull in the air, damn. But, I've been good. Let's just listen to a little bit more what she had to say, and then we're going to get into some of the people who had some signs and symptoms out here. Okay, hold on.
That it's only recirculating indoor air. We've gotten this question a lot. N95 masks are unlikely to provide any benefit. The reason is this because the chlorine compounds are actually smaller than the size filtered by an N95 mask. So just wanted to put that out there.
Goodness. I'm so done. Let me move forward. I'm sorry. I caught a flashback, y'all. Oh, remember they said that before? And then it was a big argument about that. Y'all wasn't involved. I was involved with that with other nurses. Yeah, that's not going to work. Oh my God. I got a flashback. Moving forward, Georgia residents cough up blood. Animals sick from chemical interferon. So let's get to this. This is brought by Status Coop News, where they had a few people from the metropolitan area that had to go back and forth into the hospital. And I think somebody's dog died. Let's get to it.
And you're feeling a little sick.
That's right. I can tell you, I had my nose cauterized in East Palestine. I volunteer to do this and go in and help communities, so I'm not complaining. But I can really tell when there's something without my testing results. And
got like the screen like this.
Something was just 48 hours ago. There were people coughing up blood, passing out, and I was, around the perimeter, and the people around me, we all had intense headaches, and I got a sore throat. So I really feel for these people. Fortunately for me, I'm back where I live and have relatively fresh air. But these people that are continuing to be inundated by the ongoing plume, I really feel for them.
So I'm not going to speculate, but.
See, I'm going to just tell you this, y'all, because y'all know I'm going to have to say I'm sick of it. And in my head, I was like, damn, if I say that, people going to think I'm insensitive. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not in the hospital, because that's where I be at, all in the used to be in a metropolitan area. We dealt with a lot of stuff, and it's just the way the system deals with it. And I say, I can imagine what the healthcare providers going through and the patients going through, kind of trying to diagnose and figure out what the hell is going on. Because that would be my main issue. Like, how do we treat it? Because we don't know what the actual source is. You got to know the source. And if we not being disclosed all of the information, because I think it's some part of this, they kind of say hydro something is in it. And that's nothing that the lady said. She just kept saying chlorine, this, chlorine, that. But it's something else that's in here too that may heighten some of the side effects that they were talking about. Sorry, qualified. I'm like, damn, I'm good. I'm glad, but I'm like, if y'all really need me and it comes to the end of the world, it's like, fuck it, I'm jumping back in, y'all. Not a problem. I'm gonna go back in there and triage. But right now, I'm like, shit, I pray for y'all. Whew.
There's been chlorine gas in the air for now over a week. Let me bring in the residents too, because I want to weave in everybody's stories with your experience down there, Scott. So, Colin, you could just bring them in all at once. So we have Madeline You're down there in Conyers. Shayna, I believe you live like 0.3 miles away.
Yes.
I'm gonna make this go a little faster.
And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Is it Fetty?
Fatty the Street is the whole, but it's
Got it.
Fatty, yeah.
So I'm going to go by just proximity.
I'm not mad.
Shayna, tell me, when did you first know this was going on? You got dogs, you got kids, I believe.
Yes.
And what's been going on with your symptoms?
We took my little dog to the vet today, and she has bronchitis. And we've been getting the headaches. And when it first happened, we were home and we were supposed to be evacuated, but nobody ever came and evacuated us. Because we're on Lester Road, where they were actually talking about on their first news feed saying that they evacuated Lester Road, but we were never evacuated. My stepmother and a friend seen the evacuation online and called me and woke me up. And we ended up having to rush out of the house. And we didn't know exactly what was going on. So we covered the dogs up and put them in their cage. And then came back just a couple hours later, kind of broke in and got our dogs back and took them to safety with us.
And is that common for your dog to have bronchitis, or this is something?
She's never had it before.
And what about your kids?
I don't know much about animals, but did y'all ever heard of a dog catching bronchitis? She left the dog in the cage and they went out. And I guess the dog was exposed too much.
I got lucky, really lucky that my son was at his friend's house when all of this happened because he has asthma. And when he came back, we ended up in Bucks County because we were evacuated and couldn't come home. So we were further enough away where he was good, but he started getting headaches today.
We know in East
He's
Palestine,
back in the area because he's back in the area.
chloride was the focus, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that was combusted. So here, I mean, really the only thing I see being communicated by the media or the EPA or Georgia's local FEMA is that they're looking into chlorine, but obviously there's a lot more chemicals that could have been created through that combustion, correct?
That is absolutely correct. And to put everything in perspective, too, I want to set the background for this for some of the new listeners. I have an incredible scientific team around me of toxicologists, environmental scientists, and over 200 years of experience. My role on the team is being on the front lines to take the incoming missiles from plaintiffs' attorneys, from the EPA, and all the trolls, which I can handle. But I want to tell you that scientific team has had some discussions with EPA Region 4. This is not EPA Region 5, and I want to be very clear. Although, you know, I've been a whistleblower with EPA Region 5 in East Palestine, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I want to put things in perspective from the scientific team today, that it has been verified that at least 12 million pounds of chlorine compound has burned. Could be as high as 20 million. We don't know yet. East Palestine, as bad as it was 2 million pounds of chlorine compounds, including vinyl chloride.
And in English, to dummies like me, what does that mean to the average person? 12
Here's
million.
what it means. The products of incomplete combustion, dioxins, and cancer-causing benzene compounds that are called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Jordan, we're
gonna stop right there, okay, guys? Because y'all know what we're gonna do with this. We're going to follow up with what happened out there in Conyers and the chemicals that was released, how it actually affect our system. We're going to be basically following up on Nurses to Nurses News Network with this, okay? You see, just by her story, her dog caught bronchitis. There's more to this. This is about a 17-minute clip. So since we're doing basically weekly wrap up, we're not going to get into the full clip, but it's going to be in the description so you guys can kind of get an idea what's going on. So if you don't know, now you know, we do have a series called Nurses to Nurses News Network where you can catch us on Rumble. So we're going to be putting that in the community page for you guys, the one who's interested to follow up on this information, because obviously, this sounds remarkably familiar as well to what happened in North Carolina. If you guys did not hear, there's a little issue in North Carolina and the femur, allegedly. I don't have clips up, but people being put on notice, people being properly evacuated, and people being properly supplied has been an issue when it comes to these natural disasters in the last couple of years when it comes to us. We always supply other people, allegedly, but when it comes to us. So one of the things that was the issue with the North Carolina was allegedly they were saying FEMA was blocking people from coming in and bringing in resources, especially to the people in the mountains. Okay, so we'll follow up to see how that kind of is panning out. Those people, houses got swiped out. And then we have individuals, us, people like us going out to try to help them, and they're being stopped. So just to conclude that story right now, there was a narrative that came out that people are fighting against FEMA, and workers feel unsafe. There are false narratives going out there. Now, why would people go out there and say, well, FEMA not helping, I'm going to go help? People are saying literally guns are being placed, like pointed at them when they're trying to get in and go help people. So that's something we're going to follow up with next week as well. But here, the lack thereof telling these people to get out. You see what I'm saying? And she said when her son came back, he started having signs and symptoms, and that I believe that. We're going to follow up because that's something that I experienced with my son when we were living in this basement apartment in Pennsylvania before I moved to Georgia, and they had a flood. I don't know how long ago, but it was a while ago. And it was mold behind the wooden panels. You would never even know. And my son literally went into respiratory distress after a week and a half of us staying down there. It was bad. He had like possibly mold in his lungs. They could not figure out what it was. So we have to be very vigilant about these things too. So I'm kind of the bad girl where I was like, let's go outside. And they like, it was a chemical explosion. Go sit your ass down. Get on point, y'all. That's what we're going to be doing is wake my ass up too. Get me out the dungeon. Now, this is something else that happened in Georgia that I think is going to affect us on the federal level as well eventually. Not only the voting thing we're going to get y'all up to date on, but this Appalachian school shooting, the grand jury indicted the actual mother and father. And this is the second time where a parent is being indicted or crucified for the actions of their children and not stopping it. So I'm talking to you guys from a parent. I don't have babies there, and some of you don't have babies, some of you do. And it's signs and symptoms of shit about to go down, and people just ignore it because we keep tolerating bad behavior and make bad behavior normal until it gets so toxic that somebody is hurt. Okay, you see why I don't deal with bad behavior? I don't have time for it. So Appalachian school shooting grand jury indicts Colt and Colin Gray. So Borough County, Georgia, the grand jury indicted the father and son arrested in connection to the Appalachian high school shooting last month. That means that there is enough evidence for Colt and Colin Gray to face separate trials. The grand jury indicted the indictment formally charged them with combined total of 84 crimes. Colt Gray, 14 years old. Well, that's not worse than the 6-year-old that I told you that shot the teacher in the chest. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's why we so numb. Like, yeah, you remember that happened? Ridiculousness. I'm just telling you. Let's just roll off our tongue like it's not better than the 6-year-old. Yeah, keep it moving. Now, Colt Gary, 14, is charged with 55 crimes, including malice and felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children. Colin Gray, 54, is charged with 29 charges, including second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless conduct, and cruelty to children. And he wasn't there. Borough County District Attorney Brad Smith said that he built both indictments around 25 victims from the September 4th unaliving. This includes 2 students unalived, 2 teachers, 1 teacher of 3 students who survived the unshot. I'm kind of like trying to block some words out, and 3 students who suffered grazed of the bullet. Okay, so in the total 25 victims, and the parents are being put on trial. Let me see. Is this it? Hold on.
Indicted Colt Gray on the Appalachian school shooting. 4 people testified in front of the grand jury in Barrow County today, and the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges, 29 charges for his father, Colin Gray. Channel 2's Courtney Francisco is live outside the courthouse with information about who testified there.
Linda, 2 agents from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation
A detective from the Barrow County Sheriff's Office and a victim advocate testified.
Grand juries meet in secret.
There are your indictments.
So our camera picks up when the judge announced the results.
Delivered into your hands for filing.
The indictment in that envelope said true bill, meaning Colt and Colin Gray are now formally charged with 84 crimes connected to the Appalachian High School shooting. And there's enough evidence for each of them to face trial.
There's a lot of things that we have to show to prove his knowledge and the warning signs that he had and the actions that he took over that time period.
Before deciding to indict, the district attorney said the grand jury heard 2.5 hours worth of testimony from 4 witnesses. He said he built the indictment around 25 people, 4 killed, 4 shot who survived, 3 students with shrapnel graze wounds, and 14 people in the line of fire.
Every person, every kid in that school was a victim. Kids in all the other schools that were locked down during this were victims. Parents that were terrified about where their kids were.
The grand jury charged Colt Gray, the student and suspected shooter, with 55 crimes, including malice and felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children. His father, Colin Gray, accused of giving him the gun to do it, indicted for 29 crimes, including second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless conduct, and cruelty to children.
We hope this can start the process of healing for the community.
November 21st, the father and son will get a copy of their indictments in court and will have a chance to plead guilty or innocent. The DA predicts their attorneys will eventually argue a jury selected from this county can't be fair, but the DA says he's prepared to argue against a change of venue. Reporting live in Barrow County, Courtney Francisco, Channel 2 Action.
I don't know what a change of venue will actually do because people are sick of it. People are sick of it. And shout out to you, Miss Honeymoon. Blessings. Thank you for being with us. And I appreciate them holding the parents accountable too, because some of these predators are just reckless. Okay. I'm gonna just be honest. Yes, I'll put on my community page that basically I kind of do like volunteering. Depends if I like volunteer for football games out here in Atlanta. And the first group, not only the kids was doing good. They were really into the game and everything, but the parents, they were disgusting. These were 6-year-old babies out there playing football. Babies, 7 years old. Parents like, yeah, kill them. I'm like, what? Okay. I was getting so frustrated about the parents' behavior that I just had to pray on it. I said, Lord Jesus Christ, shut her up. Shut her up for her saying to a 6-7-year-old. Charge the parents. Because they antagonize the situation, they basically train the kids in some of these behaviors, and that's why I was really like standoffish with even putting a guard you now in my son's hand. I told you guys recently I have done that, but he's 21. I had that guard you now since he was about 15, and I didn't put it in his hand. We did go to the gun range together, probably 16, 17, possibly. But other than that, nah, not on my damn time, especially when I know they're emotional distress. Even right now at the age of 21, I'm like, shit, I don't know. Let me stop. No, but to be honest, the kids' emotional integrity, the things that they subjected to, especially these video games, they're very desensitized. So they're looking at, just pulling the trigger, doing things is normal because they do this in a video game and it's not any harm really coming to them instantly. It's nothing happening. So they look at a lot of these things numbly. Like if they could just shoot somebody, they're gonna be all right. It's just a person, just a body. They look at skin like not skin. Does that make sense? Because we're so in the AI world. So be very careful of how you raising your kids. We already know that. But also putting these guard you now in their hands. I know we in rare times where we like, hey, I'm with y'all. We got to learn how to defend ourselves, make sure our family on the right time. But psychologically, if they're not prepared to handle that, and especially at those ages, we go through a lot at 15. When I was 15, I was worried about a bunch of dumb stuff. It was the end of the world. It was a lot. Do not put guns in these kids' hands. Yes, some of the lifestyle, they be so rough to the kids too. Like the way they talk to kids, the way that the kids build such you see what I'm saying? because they're not loved and nurtured. So they don't give that off in society. We got to do better, but we can't be weak, y'all. Don't let them teenagers take advantage of you. You already know. Um, um, yes, they are. I do think, because that's one of the topics I want to talk about. Not today. It's been some alleged missing Black people and hangings. That's going to be, but it's not only that. The hate, definitely. Prejudice, yeah. I think it's that. I think the hate and the prejudice. And that don't only deal with color. We have so many prejudices. Prejudice because you're fat. Prejudice because you're skinny. Prejudice because you ain't got no money. Prejudice because you with this. We got different prejudices. It don't have to be just based on the color. We have pre notions of people behavior because we put them in categories. That's what create prejudices. If you know what what prejudice is, not just based on a color. So you're 100% right. In a selfish world. So let's move forward. Now, this is something good before we get to Georgia, because Georgia is probably turning into like how can I say, the Washington D.C. of the United States. Georgia on the damn map, especially Fannie Willis ass. But this is right here in a quarter of Georgia counties. Trained prison inmates are firefighters on the job. And I found this very interesting. I found it good. Okay. That was great. Because as I mentioned to you guys, my brother is doing time in the Jersey State Prison. And basically they use him as a second this is second form of slavery. And I'm grateful that he's picking up some of the trades that he did, because he know how to like what they do with wood, put wood together and make tables and things like that. He learned that trade out in there, but it's under a contract of IKEA. And IKEA is basically contract with the Jersey prisons to have people make their stuff, put their boxes together, things like that, which is a form of second slavery. Does that make sense? And my brother got like 50 cents an hour, $1 an hour, not even that. Okay. But this one I really like. Let's play this. I appreciate this one. Okay.
Residential fire. At Fire Station 2. Fire coming out of windows. One thing is inevitable. It's a residential fire. The calls will come.
This station alone runs 350 to 400 calls a year.
From someone in need within a 4-county area south of Atlanta. Someone who needs a hero amid a critical shortage of them. Fire has visual or smoke and flames.
There's been a few calls where we went on one, it was a house fire, and we got there. We were the first engine there, and we went in.
For Shane Tomlin, it's a calling he never expected.
I spent a lot of time taken from the community. Now it's time I can give back.
Because Station 2 is one of 19 in Georgia that sits within a prison fence.
For that amount of time that we're there, they don't think of us as inmates. They think of us helping them save their house or their car.
5 inmates at the Georgia Diagnostic Prison in Butts County, hand-selected to serve the community while they serve time for their crimes.
Everybody makes mistakes, and they deserve a second chance, and they've gotten out here and really proved that they want to do right.
Chief BJ Maddox oversees the group, which is on call 24/7, working for free, living in the station instead of prison cells.
They're firefighter certified. When they leave here, they're turnkey ready.
A centuries-old law banning recent felons from being firefighters recently changed in Georgia.
You see, this is one of the issues we have all across America, and I really think that that's something we need to address. Not only the fact that people should be able to vote after becoming a felon, that's just bullshit, but also when you restrict them from becoming, going into certain positions, this causes more chaos, more crime. It keeps them in the same rat race, especially like places like Jersey. A lot of places is kind of cut off for people who are felons. You could come into Georgia, because the whole Georgia, they want everybody to be a chain gang. They like, fuck you. You been on house arrest? or you had a probation officer, you okay in Georgia, you still could work depending on the crime. I'm just keeping it real. They want everybody on papers out here. But this is good that this was lifted. So it gave them an opportunity to fill the positions that's needed. Like firefighters, they should have plumbing programs. They should have welding programs. I like that type of stuff. Give them a trade for when they come in. Also, I just got to mention, because I think outside the box, I'm like, damn, what they come in and be arsons and shit? I got to think on the backhand side. Like, maybe they still need rehab. Rehab not only come with giving people skills, but also giving them spiritual and, how can I say, psychological support. Okay. When I talk about psychological support and spiritual support, I think that's interchangeable for me, because according to the Bible, a lot of the crazy things that was happening when they was casting out demons in the early part of the Bible, it's just like schizophrenic patients. So I was like, damn, reading the Bible, I was like, is this schizophrenic? Oh, what's going on here? Is this person multiple personalities? And what that goes to say, there has to be some spiritual aspect in development too, psychological. So I think that's where we're lacking when it comes to inside the prisons. And that's all prisons in the United States, because they're not here to rehabilitate people, but we have the most people locked up in the whole world. Where does that make sense? We have to address this. We could do it on a local level as well. If you have prisons inside of in your town, because they pick certain towns too. And like, how you reforming these people? We don't want the criminals to come back out and do the same thing. So I like this program. I went in a little bit, but I'm always talk to get the conversation going. You see what I'm saying? What you think they should do as far as other programs for inmates in America, instead of just letting them conjugate together, figure out how to be super criminal, super predators. So shut the fuck up. I got jokes, because we're gonna get to some Democrats today. We're gonna review the Kamala Harris interview on Fox. She bombed it. We're going to get to that. But what you think that we should do to reform our prisons? Because it's very important, because a lot of the population is locked up or have been locked up and cut off from different resources because of that, depending on what state they're in. So shout out to Georgia for this shit. And then I'm going to talk about their prison on the other side.
Allowing these inmates a chance to be hired outside prison once they've served their time inside.
I had to call my daughter and tell her, because I've never really stuck with anything in my life. It's something that I can do in the future. I have a plan now. I've never had a plan.
The prison
love it.
Inmate firefighter program, now active in 35 Georgia counties.
Great. Wait, let me stop. Where the fuck is Fulton County? Not here. Not in Fulton County, because we're going to get to Fulton County next. We got to talk, because that's the heart of it. That's the heart of the issues for the United States right now, because Fulton County is going after Trump, all these RICO cases. Fannie Mae is being sued, just like Conyers. We in the middle of this, and it's looking weird. Look at this. No fucking program. I just had to find. All right, let's just move forward. I don't want to dig this into the hole, but I do like this, okay? And on the flip hand side of it, I'm about to tell you what's going on in Fulton County. The shit. We did extensive videos about the knives, the drugs, the mixing between inmates and what are they called? I was about to call them security guards, but you know what I'm talking about. The security guards that's there. Actually, I could say security guards. You know why? Because Fulton County actually used a company that was like an unarmed guard company to help fill some positions in their jail. And the word on the street is that the contractor is suing Fulton County because they said they were never going to pay them for their services. Remember we mentioned that they walked out the prison, these guards, and one of the guards got caught bringing contraband in, like big contraband. Other prison guards have been mixing with YSL co-defendants. It's one co-defendant. His ass must be Rico Suave. I think he got 2 of those prison guards to get themselves in trouble. He probably got them folks impregnated too. It's ridiculous. It is bad. So the DOJ report calls conditions in Georgia prisons horrific. So this is the other side of the game.
We found that the violence is pervasive and endemic. From 2018 through
I will not ban fracking.
Roll the tape.
There's no favor of banning fracking.
Access to health
I
care
gotta
should
laugh
be
at
a
her
right.
because we're gonna talk about you. You coming up, Camilla. You right next. I gotta laugh at you, baby, because you ain't do well. You gotta do better, girl. Come on, fast forward. We just want to hear a little bit of what they're saying about the Georgia prisons. Just a little bit.
23, GDC reported a total of 142 homicides in its prisons. And the numbers spiked during that period. There were 48 homicides between 2018 and 2020, and 94 between 2021 and 2023, 95.8% increase in those latter 3 years. In 2019, the most recent year for which we have national data on homicides in prison, the rate of death by homicide for incarcerated people in GDC's custody was almost 3 times the national average.
We're gonna stop right there, okay? Because we can, you already know we do sessions on Atlanta news, and I'm gonna have to save that for Atlanta news and highlighting some of Fannie Willis issues that she have outside of what we talked about, these RICO charges. They are on her butt about the prison system out here, how they're making weapons with the broken walls. I think I got a picture of some of the weapons up here. Hold on. Of the broken walls out here. Is this it? Look at that. Look at that. That's the conditions they talking about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So let's move forward because I want to get to another amazing Black woman. Well, Indian woman. Also, look, before we get to our Indian candidate, I just want you guys to see another council meeting that went bad. All right, Stop Cop City protest erupts during Atlanta City Council meeting. If you don't know about this is basically a training building that they're trying to put in the heart of Atlanta, and they've been trying to stop this from being put up. It got so bad that a bunch of people went down there. They were wilding. They got RICO charges too. They up in Fulton County for RICO charges. We would put a flashback of that. I did that a while ago, so we're gonna do an update to that. Basically, they went out there with Monotel cocktails, makeshift like bottles that catch fire, throwing it at the cops, throwing fireworks at them. They were wilding. Now, I like protests. Y'all know I ain't mad at it, freedom of speech. But I was like, whoa, these motherfuckers wilding. Imagine you go to a protest and you think you about to just be like, protest, ha ha ha, and they start throwing firecrackers, little makeshift bombs and shit at the police. It was ridiculous. The police back there like this, they try to close the gate. It was funny, but not funny. So imagine that happened. So this is a continuation of this same subject matter. These people are under indictment for RICO. And that case is not publicized, but once I get more information, I'm going to keep y'all updated. But that's a flashback of this. Okay, let's listen. It's not funny, but it's funny because you gotta laugh at the tragedy. Imagine, you would never think that you would be like, what the? That was happened to me at the Black Lives Matter protest. Let's listen to this.
At 5, an explosion of protests inside Atlanta City Hall in connection to the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. This is a look from a little bit earlier, I do believe.
Yeah, we were watching all this unfold. Let's bring in Atlanta News First anchor Carly Burnett at the First Alert Breaking News Desk with more. Carly?
Well, Tracy Blair, I actually just got off the phone with reporter Patrick Quinn. He was giving me the latest on this. He says the protesters have just left City Hall. He did not see any arrests made. We have live pictures outside where they have gathered there. You can see that sign. They were holding that up in there, and it says, quote, Andre Dickens dropped the ball on democracy. All these people protesting the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. So they're outside. They're making some remarks. Our reporter Patrick Quinn is out there now. At this point, there have been no arrests made, and the mayor actually was not in the meeting. That is according to our reporter. You can see there that these demonstrators are throwing ping pong balls, all with that message to the mayor.
See what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, just imagine being at this meeting and you like, I support the cause, but they just start wilding. This group of people, they turned up. They're about guerrilla warfare. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm laughing because it's funny, but it'd be scary if you were involved. Honeymoon, when I get a chance, I'm gonna make you a moderator, okay? And I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Just definitely because you support. I love you. So imagine my ass would be like, oh my God, no. I like controversy, but not this much. Like we gotta do it a little different, but let's watch this.
This has been going on, you know.
Ping pong balls hurt. You can't do that.
Atlanta News First has been staying on top of these developments with those who have opposed the public safety.
Wait, imagine if this was Hilliard and y'all was throwing ping pong balls at Hilliard. Not giving y'all any suggestions, but this would be ridiculous.
Training center. They have wanted it to be up to a vote. So that is what they're arguing. You can see also police officers standing by watching this demonstration unfold. And we're going to take you back out live right now. You can see city council members were in there. But again, nobody intervening as this demonstration took place. We see dozens of people in those neon green shirts. They say Stop Cop City on those. That's what opponents of the Public Safety Training Center have called it from the beginning, Cop City. So again, we have reporters on scene. Atlanta News First, we were the only ones.
We're gonna follow up to see what these plans of Cop City is, because I really don't know the detailed plans of it. But these people turned up, y'all. What are they doing with all of these golf balls? How did they get them in? They had a whole bunch of people with bags. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. We're going to follow up with this. It's going down in AATL. Don't think that it's not different for what's going on in your town, okay? These people are ready to show down about this cop land. So we're going to follow up. We're going to also follow up on the RICO case if they put anything public, if they indicted people and things. I think they did. I think they started like I got to see. I think some of them already went to court. Okay, so now let's just get to this because this is part of the whole United States. Okay, yes, Fulton County. Bad Fulton County. Fulton judge says Georgia laws require county election officials to certify results. So last week, I streamed a live about, in the last 2 weeks as well, you saw that it was a board meeting in Fulton County, and they were talking about the election process, about counting ballots, when people to certify the ballots, and when people make questions, like they ask about certain rosters, going through freedom of information requests. We showed you the court case where you were able to see, they say there's like Democrat lawyers against the, board people because they didn't want the law to change. So they were saying that the law was too restrictive. It would cause a burden if somebody was to ask for certain information and they deemed that it was possibly fraud or had any questions. They wanted to make sure that the people who had to certify the votes couldn't just say, well, I'm not certifying because I believe it's election fraud. Because in my opinion, there was some funny stuff that went on last year and it just didn't go. Last election, and it didn't just go on in Georgia. There were some states that you looked at, and then a couple of hours later, it was 1,000 more votes that just came in, thousands. Like, where did that come from? Oh, they were melting ballots, things like that. So it has to be some uniform approach to counting, because the same thing that we doing here in America as the international police going to other people's countries, like they're having fraudulent elections, they need a democracy. What the fuck is going on? What's going on around here? No cursing. What's going on around here? Okay, So Fulton judge says Georgia law requires county election officials to certify a result. This was October 15th. So that's following. We were trying to see what the judge's response were going to be. We saw both of their arguments. You saw me. I was like, they both sound weak and off. It was one person on the actual Democratic side that I liked the way he broke it down. He broke down both sides' arguments, how it apply, how it don't apply, and the burden that it would cause if the laws were passed or not. And I think the judge probably took his in consideration. That was probably the last 20 minutes of that whole 2-hour thing. Them going back and forth saying a whole lot of nothing. But anyway, but I like to watch it. We kind of see what they say. We argue back with them. We had a few people there at that live talking, from their perspective. We have Democrat Republicans. We have people who are liberal. We have independent. All we ask is people respect each other and we just talk. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we could change each other's minds. Sometimes we can't. But it shouldn't be the objective to control people's opinion. So we did that. And this is a follow-up. So the Fulton County judge ruled Tuesday that county election board members cannot refuse to certify the election result. Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney, that's his name, Robert McBurney, ruling clarifies that the state election certification law mandates that local election officials certify elections. Now, what he was saying possibly is that it could be like you certify the election, but you can put like a note or a clause to say you had some questions about it. I was hearing some of that in the arguments, possibly as a mediation standpoint, like because they were like, you have to certify it. You just have to certify it. All right. So the law has been challenged in several lawsuits, including a complaint filed by the Republican Fulton County Election Board member Julie Adams. Okay, so I told you it was like the Democrats against the Republicans. You could tell in the crowd. Look at that. Look at them. Okay, who refused to join her colleagues to certify the March presidential preference primary. Okay, Adams abstained from voting in March to certify results, claiming that Fulton Election Board had illegally permitted itself to run elections in the county. She said it was plagued by sludge election operations in recent year. It's not. It don't say shady. It says show. It's not. I don't say shady. Anyway, Adams argued in the lawsuit that was that lady who was sitting there on the side. Y'all remember her? That's Adams. So I argued in the lawsuit that the board members have the option to refuse to certify the election result if they have reason to believe that there was an inaccuracy. Okay. She also alleged that she was improperly denied access to the election records prior to certification. So that was some of the things she had to go through the Freedom of Information request to ask for this shit. I'm just saying that's ridiculous. If you want a board, you should have access to all of that. And that's the same thing that they got going on in Dalton. Like, how you gotta do a Freedom of Information request and you part of the board? What? Everything's supposed to be there so you can make the right decision. So the Fulton County Board of Registration and Election counters that certifying election result is purely a ministerial function of local election officials. The role of the election superintendent and county election board in certifying election is ministerial and mandatory, despite the fact that many other aspects of their positions are discretionary. So everything else is up to your discretion, but this right here, you got to do it. This is what Ms. Burry wrote. Okay, so Ms. McBurry ruling comes as Georgia voters head to the polls Tuesday for the start of the 3-week early voting period for November 5th election. Okay, so this is one of the things that don't only affect us in Georgia, but it's going to affect you as a nation, because these are one of the deciding states. This is Georgia. Yes. And Georgia turned blue, allegedly, last election. I'm just watching. I have no dog in the fight, because I do believe some weird shit happened. I don't care. I was like, how that number jumped here in different states. I was just watching. This is weird to me. So they was like, oh, mail-in ballots. So I was like, what the? Oh, I know a lot of people moved to Georgia, but damn, we all Democrat? Bunch of Democrat? Right. Fulton County judge ruled that elections must be certified. So we said that. So we know that it got to be certified no matter what. If you feel like it's some shady business, you got to certify it. How weird is that? All right. Judge has halt hand counting rules as election day nears. This is 14 hours. Okay. Now, that was one of the issues as well. They were talking about the hand counting, the discrepancies in that and how it can happen. And that's what mail-in ballots do, is hand counting, right? Or do y'all got a machine like in the Jetsons where y'all kind of load it up? Like the money counter, you know how the Jetsons, the Jetsons got all the technology doing it, but they're saying that it's human error with the counting and all types of stuff. So let's listen. Georgia Judge Holt's hand counting rules as electioneer. We're just going to depend on AI anyway. Let's watch this.
Reaction to a decision that impacts the way ballots will be counted election night in Georgia.
Yeah, this one was pretty controversial. So in the last 12 hours, a judge ruled to block the plan to hand count all the ballots election night, November 5th. 11 Alive's Ariana Manish joining us live this morning from the state capitol.
Ariana, talk us through what the decision means for election night specifically.
Well, Cheryl, now that this rule has been blocked, it means that we are now expecting election results to come in much faster on November 5th. Now, critics of this law, they were concerned that with this rule in place, it will cause reporting delays and even confusion on election night. Now, this was one of many laws passed by the Republican-led state election board just last month. It required that 3 poll workers each hand count the paper ballots, not the votes, but the paper ballots by hand once polls close. Now, the rule was set to take effect next Tuesday, which is just 2 weeks away from Election Day. But now Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney is blocking the enforcement of the rule after the Cobb County Election Board filed a lawsuit. Judge McBurney, he wrote in his decision that the rule would be implemented too close to the election and that it would cause administrative chaos given the limited time available to train poll workers.
Stop. I said, ooh. I'm telling you, I told y'all, I love y'all. Y'all know what I do. I really don't participate because this shit. And I feel some type of way. It was a process where they're trying to implement where 3 people go back and recount. That's called auditing. You have to audit even the things that come out of the computer. See, you see when you want stuff fast, instant gratification. Now they're using that. Well, we have to get faster results. No, we can wait 24 hours and be like back in the day. You know, I think it was election where we waited a little while. You could wait while 3 different sets of hands count and see if we get the same number. Oh, this is scary. This is scary to me. I don't like this. And the judge talking about it's too soon to implement. What? To tell and to train people and say you got to count 3 times. 3 people? Rotate them. 6, 12, 18. 3 6-hour shifts. Times 3 people. You see what I'm saying? You got 9 people you need. And they count for 6 hours. Take a break, 3. Come back. Count. The next shift come in. What is the problem? What's so complicated? Am I crazy? Am I looking at this wrong? You tell me what you think they should do. I don't see a problem with recounting. I don't see a problem with verifying. I see a problem of moving things too fast and not verifying it to me. But I don't participate, so I probably need to shut the hell up, right?
We spoke to Gabriel Sterling with the state Secretary of State's office before this rule was passed to see how he felt about the mandated hand counting ballot rule.
Well, it's not really hand counting of the ballots. It's on the number of ballots that were cast. So let's make it clear. I don't want people thinking they're sitting there counting every single contest on these ballots. I think it's not a bad idea in concept, but you need a lot of time and training to do it. Doing the last minute is a little more irresponsible than we'd like to see.
We need to
Now, those other rule changes have caused controversy and even resulted in other lawsuits, like the one where election officials, county election officials, they were able to submit what was called a reasonable inquiry rule. Now, Judge McBurney, he just filed a decision on that rule where he says that election county officials, they must certify the election by the deadline stated by the law.
We're going to look into what is the reasonable inquiry rule, because that lady was suing too, because of FO, Freedom of Information Department didn't provide her with the information she needed to feel like she could certify, because she had questions. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to follow up with this. This affects the whole United States. This is a primary state. Do y'all think Georgia going to turn back Republican? Tell me what you think. Do you think it's going to turn back Republican? Or it's going to stay Democrat because of this rule? Shut up, y'all. I just got to keep it real. Crooked Joe is Crooked Joe do. It is on both sides, but I got to sock it to the Democrats. They be on some bull, especially when we see how Kamala, she didn't do too well. But we're going to talk about that. All right, what is this? Threats against FEMA workers hamper